New match play mission cards have been announced. The Pariah Nexus deck will replace the Leviathan deck. Now I really wish they would just stop labeling so many things Pariah Nexus. We already have a TV show, a Crusade book, a 9th edition match play rule set, and other expansions. Necrons exist elsewhere. These new missions have a big focus on Battleline units. Games Workshop has declared as such, and at least one of the mission rules gives you bonus victory points if you have Battleline units on an objective. This is raise banners. It is not an action. In 9th edition there was a very similar thing where you raise a banner but it's an action so you can't shoot or fight, and then you got some victory points for each objective that had a flag on it. This is simpler, you just have to be on the objective that you control with a Battleline unit. You can't knock over or replant flags. So in theory, you could take an objective, plant your flag on it, and then the enemy could take the objective and plant their flag on it, and it would have both of your flags on at once. With this focus on Battleline units, it has implications for the army makeup of all of the different factions. The Adepta Sororitas are already taking a good number of Sisters of Battle because of the many ways they generate miracle dice, as we saw in my earlier video. Though you can try lists without them, they do struggle compared to mainline Adepta Sororitas units. That video is linked in the comments. Space Marines can have intercessors, they already provide sticky objectives, and with Tactical Marines, now being much cheaper, they are looking very attractive as a solid backline. They are the backbone of the chapter. Deathwatch players have Deathwatch veterans that are Battleline, as seen in the background of this image, behind some Imperial agents of the Ordo Xenos. Don't read anything into that. They can take objectives well, though we tend to rely on the Proteus kill teams. The Deathwatch players already have my own video on which units will stick around for the future of Deathwatch. But the Space Marines have a lot of good Battleline units to pick from. Chaos Space Marines, the Deceptor's Alpha Legion detachment, has bonuses already for Battleline units. Well, specifically, the Legionaries and the Cultist mobs. The two Battleline units, they get to infiltrate. I can tell you from my own playtesting experience, Legionaries kitted out for combat getting full rerolls to wound against enemies on objectives is great. Include a Sorcerer so that enemies are always at -1 to hit, the way Custodes no longer are, and it is absolutely wonderful. But by infiltrating, the Rapid Escalation card is already covered. But what about the Genestealer Cult? We were just starting to see some change in the kinds of armies that Genestealer Cult players were bringing to tournaments. I don't think that's going to continue. No more will we have any focus on the Aberrants or the Pure Strain Genestealers. With a focus on Battleline, Acolyte and Neophyte spam is back. Their points may go up yet again, not because they got better, but because Games Workshop will see loads of tournament lists where the only non-character units are Battleline, Acolytes and Neophytes. And they have to do something about that, and it couldn't be to change the rules, so they change the points and punish players for playing them the only way they can. Aberrants are still good, but you won't get as many victory points out of them. Neophytes, especially Neophytes, if you think of them as little chaff units, I have shown how they can be mainline damage dealers. They are an incredibly versatile unit with 4 different ways to play them. That video is linked in the comments, you can go down and open it in a new tab now if you wish, or put it on your watch later playlist. So of course we use Battleline units. With our army special rule, there is already a push towards having lots of Battleline units. They are more likely to come back through Cult Ambush just by virtue of being Battleline. Battleline units have higher objective control, and I don't think I need to go over again how much better Acolytes are than Metamorphs. I did in my big Genestealer Cult video. Guess where I left a link to that. And the Ascension Day detachment will be hard to beat come the Codex. We have benefits to shooting units that come from Deep Strike. So Neophytes and Acolytes with demolition charges are the ones that benefit the most. Why take anything else? Well, because painting 120 Neophytes is boring and expensive, especially since the Genestealer Cult Combat Patrol is no longer sold. You can check my affiliate links that are in the description this time. It is country dependent, but they may still have boxes left at a hefty discount. And you can see my predictions for the new and certainly worse Genestealer Cult Combat Patrol, linked in the comments. Unless the Codex really shakes things up and there is a much better detachment, or a change to the army special rule, that is the Genestealer Cult meta for the next year. That big change all comes from the new mission cards. So actions are back. They never left, and I kept calling them actions, but now Games Workshop is also calling them actions. These were secondary missions where you don't shoot or charge and gain victory points by doing a thing. Deploy teleport homers is an example. Compared to the Leviathan mission deck, they will be swapping out some primary missions. I hope servo skulls go away. It was kind of annoying to have some objectives that moved, and I didn't like the secondary objective to get to the table quarters and perform lots of actions, so I hope that goes away as well. I'm not a fan of the new example, Marked for Death, because it reminds me of a tempting target. Sure, if you're in a good position, you can do it no problem, but if you're not already winning, if you don't have the existing board control, you won't catch up. Same thing with Marked for Death. I wonder if the Ironstorm detachment enemy will be picking several vehicles for me to kill. It does have weird wording, which means that your opponent needs to avoid picking a unit that can return to reserves like Space Marine Scouts or the battle line units of the Genestealer Cult with the return to the Shadow stratagem. Gambits are gone. Who used Gambits? No one. Basically no one. If you use Gambits, tell me in the comments below all of those linked videos, because collectively, we saw how bad they were at the start of the edition, how hard they were to do even while winning, and you would only take them when you were losing, so we never bothered. With secret missions, unless they're really easy, they're probably not going to be used. Getting your Warlord to the enemy deployment zone can work, especially with enhancements from the Red Corsairs detachment encouraging that already, but killing all enemy battle line units and having your own battle line units in their deployment zone can be tricky. And there's more of a drawback. You can't really come back by using secret missions. If you had under 20 victory points for the primary, it's already going so badly, and this is added to the primary score, but to a maximum of 40 victory points. 20 for the main primary, 20 for the secret mission. With your secondary objective score added, that is a maximum of 80 victory points instead of 90 victory points. I'm not including the 10 points for painted armies here. So you are behind already, that's how you get to take a secret mission, and your max victory points is now capped at lower than your opponent. Not great. I would never go for Unbroken Wall, because if I think I can take 3 objectives, then I should be still focusing on scoring the primary mission. At least Shatter Cohesion is fun and viable. If the Green Tide, or loads of Pure Strain Genestealers, or a massive number of World Eaters Marines have held you back from getting the objectives, but you see that you will kill them all, let's go murder some people. Don't quote me on that out of context. Let's kill all the people in 40k. I like that killing all the enemies doesn't win you the game as in previous 40k editions, which made victory points and missions entirely pointless because you could just focus on killing, but killing all of the enemies does reward you in this game. So that mission deck will be out in a few months. There are still plenty of Leviathan mission deck games left to play. In my next video, you will see how Games Workshop may be making an even more concerted push towards battle line units at the expense of all others. Make sure you're subscribed. But if you, my #NotACult darlings and viewers, want to reject the mass acolytes and neophytes meta, if you want to play with more than 2 units and supporting characters, this is the army list and tactics that explains how to shake up the meta as Genestealer cults. Have a great day of 40k.